Hi guys, and welcome to my April wrap-up. I actually didn't read that many books this month. I only read 9. Well, I read like half. Look, I'm halfway through Daisy Darker now, and I read about half of All the Light We Cannot See. Sorry, I just had to check what it was. So I've kind of read 10, but I didn't finish 10 books. I only finished 9, so I only read 9 books, you know what I mean? The genres I read this month was fantasy, romance, and dark academia. I think I've discovered from this month, this was my first like taste of dark academia. I've discovered I don't think I'm a dark academia girly. I'm just not sure it's my cup of tea, but we'll get into that. The first books I'm going to talk about are the fantasy books. So this month I read The Infernal Devices. Why did that just literally completely leave my brain? I read the Infernal Devices series. So that's Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. I did a reading vlog on these books. If you want to watch that, go ahead. It'll go a bit more into how I'm feeling, how I'm thinking about the books as I read them. But yeah, the first book I felt I wasn't really sure. Like, I knew I enjoyed it because I was so into it. I loved being back into the shadow world, found it really interesting, and I was so intrigued by the characters. But like, I wasn't like completely into it. Like, I was still very not that invested in some of the characters. Like, some of the characters I really liked, aka Gem. I loved Gem from the beginning. And the first book I didn't like as much as the rest of them because there wasn't that much of Gem, and I wasn't into Will yet. I wasn't like getting the Will vibes. I did still love it though. Like, I still did love it. I felt like I was just in their world, and that's what you want from a book. So I gave it 4 stars. The next book is Clockwork Prince. This one went into the characters more, and I got to see why the characters are the way they are. Throughout these books, you've got like the main villain that they're trying to stop. And I feel like that kind of story is quite prolonged. I feel like it's kind of not even like the center, the main focus. Like, to me, the main focus were the characters and what they were going through. Like, it wasn't even that we had to catch this guy or we had to like stop this guy. Do you know what I mean? It was more like the characters' lives. That's why I like the book. There wasn't that much action in the second book. I think that's why I didn't give it a 5 stars. It was a 4.5 because I was started to love the characters. I started to understand the characters more, but there wasn't the action that I wanted to make it that 5 stars. Then the last book came. I don't even know if I can talk about Clockwork Prince without actually crying. I think I was on like 3rd or 4th chapter and I was bawling my eyes out. Like, I was so in love with these characters, and it was setting them up for what was going to happen in the book, and I just couldn't handle it. The way they spoke to each other with so much love honestly was just making me cry my eyes out. The epilogue breaks your heart in 2. But yeah, this book was a 5 stars because it gave everything. It gave me love, it gave me loads of action, it gave me sadness. Like, do you know what I mean? It gave everything, and I was so into it. I don't think I'll ever get over it. So the next book we have is another 5-star read, and that is Once Upon a Broken Heart. Also, I have to tell you about something. I came up here, I left like a few of my books on this bed, and I came up here, and my favourite book out of the 3 that were left on the bed, aka this one, had been chewed up by my rabbits. But anyway, this cover is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. This book is absolutely stunning. It's about this character called Evangeline, and she makes a deal with a fate because the love of her life is marrying someone else, and she wants to stop the wedding. But like, fates are known to not be trusted, and they're like magical, powerful beings. But she makes a deal with one anyway. It obviously does not turn out how she wants it to, and she owes him 3 kisses. Not to him, but like, she has to kiss other people. and it's so magical, like so magical. Like I could not put it down. I was so in awe of the way that the book just literally transported me into this magical forest and some kingdoms, castles and tree houses, and it was, and balls, oh my god, the balls. Ordered the second one. I wanted to wait until the paperback version came out, but I was like, I can wait because this book does end on a cliffhanger. But I think I am at some point going to read the Caraval trilogy as well. Like, I went into this knowing I didn't need to read the Caraval trilogy because so many people had said you don't really need to read it. But now I know a little bit more about the Caraval trilogy, I kind of really do want to read it. Concept sounds interesting to me, and I know Jax, who is the Fate in this book, is a character in the Caraval trilogy. So I'm going to give it a try. At some point, don't know when, no rush. So the next genre I'm going to talk about is the dark academia genre, and we're going to start it off with The Secret History. History is honestly the most confusing, hard to read books I've ever read. I can't explain it other than that. It's about basically a group of these Greek, they're not Greek, they are American, but they study Greek language, poems. I'm not sure. Mythology, I don't actually know what they studied, to be honest. I couldn't understand a word of it. It's in the point of view of Richard? Yeah, I believe it's Richard. And he joins this friend group because he wants to be in the class. It's like an in-depth view of their lives and also what they cause. I don't actually know when it's set, but it makes you feel like you're in like a old dusty movie, like where it looks dirty and like brown. I don't know, that's how I felt. There is a murder, so it's kind of like thriller at the same time. Nothing is a plot twist, really. Well, kind of one thing is, but like there's not really any plot twist. It's just that we know what's going to happen, but the tension is built by getting to that point, which is kind of interesting. And I will say that I thought I didn't like this book that much when I finished it, but in the weeks after finishing it, I realised that I probably did, because I couldn't get it out of my head. Like, it really messed me up a bit. It is quite a messed up and dark book. Like, I don't think I enjoyed it that much whilst reading it, but I couldn't stop thinking about it once I finished it. So I gave it 4 stars, and it is really good writing. So yeah, I would recommend to read it if you do have time and you maybe are a bit smarter than me, because most of the stuff went straight over my head. But yeah, the next book is If We Were Villains. This one I thought I was going to like more than The Secret History. It is pretty much the exact same thing, but like different setting. No, same setting, it's still school. They're just studying Shakespeare and performance arts instead. I did annotate this book because once again, it's written really well. However, I just didn't enjoy this one as much. It didn't stick with me as much. I'm not sure why. Like, I really didn't get into the characters. Like, in The Secret History I did. Even though the characters were really supposed to be not likable, you started to like them. And if We Were Villains, I just didn't connect with any of them. The ending for this book for me was so confusing. I didn't even see the connection between the characters. Like, I just thought like, oh, okay, that made no sense. Like, why did he do that? I just had no understanding of why any of the characters did what they did or who they were. So I gave this one 3 stars because it was a good book, good writing, but I just didn't think it was for me. The next books we have are the romance book. The first romance book I read this month was From Lukov with Love. I did really enjoy this book. It's definitely not one of my favourites. I definitely wasn't like head over heels for it, but I liked the character. I really enjoy like the ice skating. I really liked Icebreaker. I think I like Icebreaker more than this because Icebreaker for me was so fun. Like, I felt like I was having a really fun time. I liked some of the topics that she touched on in this book, like the character Anastasia, is that it? Jasmine. Anastasia's the other one. Anastasia's from Icebreaker. Jasmine is a character that I really kind of related to, And the slow burn was slow burning in this book, and it was nice. I like a good slow burn. He's been skating at this ice rink for years, and the guys whose family owns the ice rink skates there too, and he's always winning these competitions. Basically, he's just like the star of the show. They just don't get along. They just always like say nasty things to each other. But his coach turns around and asks her to be his new partner, and it starts from there, like training together, close forced proximity, and yeah, it's really interesting. I also said in a TikTok a few months ago that I would never buy this book because I hate the cover. I still hate the cover. I just think it's ugly. But I saw this book in my local Tesco charity bookshelf, and I paid about £1 for it, so I thought, if it's going to charity, I'll just buy the physical book, you know what I mean? The next book I read was Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I really enjoyed this book. I just love Ali Hazelwood's writing. She makes you feel so warm and fuzzy. Like, I love that it's always like a sciencey kind of theme, and like it's women in STEM. I actually have no clue what STEM means because I am stupid. So it's about this girl called B who is starting this new job, and she's like the director or something. She's like organising it, and she's got to co-organise it with this person, and the person is basically a guy that throughout college she really didn't get along with, and he was really mean to her, so she's really scared and she thinks he's gonna mess things up for her. So yeah, it's kind of like enemies to lovers, but they're not enemies for that long, because it turns out they never really were enemies, you know? But yeah, there's also kind of like a texting thing that's really cute as well. She has like this Twitter account, like an anonymous Twitter account, which I just thought was so cool, and oh, I just like this book. It was so cute. So I gave this one a 4, but I might bump it up to a 4.5. But like, it didn't give me that 5-star feeling, but it was a really good book and I really did enjoy it. Lastly, we have Love and Other Words. I can't believe it has taken me this long to read this book. It has been like one of the most popular romance books for years now. I really wanted the other cover of this, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I guess this is just the UK edition cover, which isn't the best, but I wasn't actually sure if I was gonna like it. Like, I'd heard so many great things about it, but I was just like, I hate when I hear so many good things about a book, because then I'm like, it's too much pressure to like it, do you know what I mean? But I did really love this book. It was 5 stars. Basically about this girl called Macy, and she bumps into her childhood best friend / lover after 11 years, and it brings up all these old feelings, and it basically, each chapter it switches from then to now, and I love that. I literally lived off that. I loved seeing how they are now, and then going back and seeing how they were when they were kids and how they felt. Loved both of these characters. Macy and Elliot were both really well written. I definitely did like Macy a lot more because I related to Macy a lot. Like, the first chapter I was crying. I was crying the first chapter. It kind of unravels slowly why they haven't spoken in 11 years. And I thought, reading this book up until like the last few chapters, I was like, this was a really good book, but it didn't give me that 5-star rating. It's probably going to be like 4 or 4.5. Those last few chapters, I was crying my eyes out. Literally, I felt heartbroken. Like, I felt like someone had ripped my chest out. I like literally wanted to scream. And I was like, no, that's a 5 stars. How does a book make me feel like that? Like, honestly, like, wanted to like turn back time. But like, it's a book. But it was a happy ending, don't get me wrong there. It was a very happy ending, but I was absolutely broken. So that, guys, was my April wrap up. I hope you enjoyed. I really didn't read as much as I wanted to this month. I thought this was going to be like a good reading month for me, but it just wasn't. I ended up getting into like a few slumps, and a few just like books weren't just giving me what I wanted. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.